Hello and welcome to Lincoln to Local. I'm Hannah Davis, and today we're joined by Kaylee Holman from our Public Policy Department to bring you another update on Farm Bureau's work at the state capitol. Kaylee, as we get started, can you remind Farm Bureau members where we're at in the legislative process?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you're kind of aware, the past 2 weeks have been a lot slower at the Capitol as they went through spring break, and then just last week was much lighter. But next Thursday, is going to be another deadline for bills to be out of committee. So this week, they most certainly ramped up with hearing a lot of bills, not necessarily on the floor, but for sure going through the committee process.
So Kaylee, one of those bills that worked through the committee process this week has to do with ad valorem, which is very important to Farm Bureau members. So can you explain about that bill?
Yes, so that's Senate Bill 838, and a version of that has been around for several years. About the last 5 years, a version has been introduced in both chambers, and it has to do with public safety protection districts and assessing a new ad valorem property tax, which has been an issue for a lot of our members. It's been in our policy book, and it's not the preferred way for most of our members to go about an additional tax. We usually look at some other versions before we look at a property tax. But this year, we were able to exempt ag-zoned land within the municipality, as well as implements of husbandry. And we were also able to get the threshold that a vote would have to exceed 60%, instead of 50%. And 60% is the threshold that school bonds have to be at. So we felt like that was a much fairer level, as well as many of our members might own land within a municipality that they'd be taxed on, but they might not live in that municipality, so they wouldn't be able to vote on a tax they would certainly be paying. So 60% we feel like really kind of helps with the buffer.
Definitely, and something Farm Bureau members will also be interested in is a bill dealing with municipal taxation and maybe protecting those ad valorem dollars. So can you explain that bill?
Yes, for sure. So that has been an issue. We've been concerned about assessing this new ad valorem to go to paying salaries and different things that we usually have not allowed a property tax to fund. And what might happen if a municipality, say, passes this sort of a tax, which would be going towards funding police and fire, but instead of funding that, they take money from it and funds different interests or need in the municipality. And so this bill would prohibit any municipality from assessing a tax that's approved by the voters for something like public safety protection or another governmental issue, and then redirecting those funds to something that was not approved by the voters without going and getting further approval through a vote of the people.
So we also saw a bill advance this week, which is exciting for our members in rural Oklahoma, dealing with rural health care. So can you give an update on that bill as well?
Yes, so rural health care is something that has been newer, probably the last 10 years, has really been an interest to Farm Bureau as that issue has become more prevalent out in our communities, especially our rural communities, of getting doctors and good healthcare access in those areas where members are living. So this bill would give a tax credit to rural doctors that either graduate from a school of medicine or osteopathic medicine in the state, or do a residency within the state and have done so within the last 2 years. So it's not going to be retroactive and been licensed within the last 2 years, and then go and practice within a rural community, which is defined in this bill, which is a community that is under 25,000 population and is not any closer than 25 miles from the next municipality or community that has more than 25,000 population. And it also has to do with if you go and serve in a tribal hospital or a tribal community and also live within that county or the tribal jurisdiction, you would be approved for a $25,000 tax credit, up to a $25,000 tax credit, but couldn't be used to lower your tax burden underneath $0 per year. And it also is a 4-year, you can use that tax credit for 4 years, and it can't exceed $1 million. So it's really good. I feel like for our communities, it would be definitely an incentive to people graduating, young people to graduate and then go to a rural area, which there's not going to be necessarily as many people needing care, but there certainly are some people that really need access to care. And so this would be an incentive for them to move to those communities where they might not be making the same money that they would in Oklahoma City or Tulsa, but certainly would be serving a good population there.
Thank you, Kaylee, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Lincoln to Local.